you're just triggering things off in my mind there. We are our own doctors in our own group, aren't we? This building, right? You're standing outside, you're a civilian, all of a sudden you're coming in, you're different. I cannot explain it properly, mate. But
like, so to be proud to be associated with this group. Yeah.
We treat each other the same. Somebody could have been through worse.
Evening, everyone, and welcome to Veterans in Crisis podcast. Today we have Steve O'Connell. Steve is ex-Royal Marines, but he now runs a very successful company called Avantex. And Avantex put all the Wi-Fi and all the electrical equipment into the ERV, which I am very much thankful for. Welcome, Steve.
Hello, Jay, you all right?
I am, mate. How are you?
A little bit nervous.
Well, don't be nervous.
I've heard a few of your podcasts, mate.
Yeah, just a few. There's fucking 25 online, man.
Oh, I didn't listen to yours.
Oh, I wouldn't. I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either, mate. I have to listen to them all, mate. It's terrible. Somebody said to us the other day, says, "Why did you fucking listen to them? You were there." And I was like, "I know, but if you had a conversation last week for an hour, you wouldn't remember everything that was on it, would you?"
No, you don't.
So I'd have to listen. But to be honest, they're quite funny, and I enjoy listening to them.
Self-praise is no praise, mate.
No, well, it's normally the guests that funny, mate, not me. I'm just the anchor. That's all. And Joe, who's not here, he's the funny one.
Yeah.
So, mate, born and bred in Middlesbrough?
Yeah, I was born in Middlesbrough, then moved to Thornaby, which is a little bit further south, when I was 2, and grew up there until I joined the Marines in 1992. So, yeah.
So what was Thornaby like when you were a kid?
We lived in a place called the Brims, and it was a brand new estate. So it was a council estate, and it was called the Colditz because it was like the Colditz. It was surrounded by flats, and then in the centre was the houses, and all the flats were. It just continued, and it had little tunnels out all over the place. So they called it.
Sounds lovely.
Oh, it was.
Sounds lovely. Yeah.
Oh, mate, my childhood was spent trying to escape from there. They started building an estate just next door called Ingleby Barwick. It's like, but obviously Ingleby Barwick's quite big now, but at the time it was just fields. And me and my two brothers, Dave and Mick, we started this campaign to stop Ingleby Barwick from ever being built. Oh, mate, you've got no idea.
But just three of you?
The three of us. We did quite well for so long, but it was like Montserrat versus the Russians. We just didn't stand a chance eventually. Yeah. So,
and how old were you when this was happening?
I was probably about 10, Dave will have been 12, and Mick will have been about 8. But we used
can't believe that fucking campaign didn't work, mate. You had everything. You had everything there, didn't you?
It did for a bit. The things we did, mate. I mean, if you're a brickie and you're listening, you're going to hate me. Or if you're a sparky, we used to go. So we'd wait until the guys would go on the breaks on a lunchtime, and the fresh walls had just been built. They'd go for the breaks. They'd come back. There'd be no fucking wall anymore. We'd just kick the bastard thing down, put in sugar in the JCB's engines. We would wait until a house had been fully rewired or fully wired. The plasterers had been, and so it wasn't dot and dab in them days, it was browning. They'd skimmed the walls, we'd wait until it was finished, and then we'd go in and pull the twin and earth out of the wall to the ceiling height and cut it out, and then strip it back to the copper, and we made this huge ball of copper that we were going to weigh, and we were going to be millionaires, me and Dave and Mick. And so we had this great big ball of copper. And after my dad had died, we went and helped my mum shift a load of stuff. And we went in the shed. There was this great big ball of copper still. So we never sold it.
No.
But the Sparkies must have hated us. And the plumbers, we ripped out the copper pipes.
It's fucking mental, because I thought you were just seeing like you just a band and you had placards or something like that.
Oh, no,
I didn't realise you were just going around vandalising everything.
Mick was the best one. Day.
Hold on, didn't start grassing Mick up. He's not here, you know what I mean? You've already named him. It's a good job the Bissies didn't listen to this.
He was the best one. One day the Brickies went on the break, and him and his mate, Chris Hills, went and got...
Oh, you've just grassed him up as well. Can we have aliases?
It's many, many years ago now. I think you'll get away with it now. But they went and just got a load of random rocks and stuff from the field. The Brickies went away. They still had all of the cement there. And then they just made this false wall on top of their wall. So they had their perfect bricks. And then they just made this great big wall and then hid in the trees and watched the Brickies come back. And they were like, what the hell is that? So,
class. Yeah, imagine if you had camera phones then.
Oh, you couldn't get
Pranks
away
would be
with
brilliant.
Oh,
Pranks
mate, you
would be
couldn't get
brilliant. I
away
mean,
with
you would tell everyone's name on the fucking camera phone anyway.
Aye.
But you'd be YouTube sensations, mate.
it. Aye, but I'm so glad I didn't grow up with them things, and I'm so glad I went through the forces without
Aye.
phones. I mean, I left in '98, and I was so glad that the things we did. I mean, Christ, you can't even get dressed up as a woman and go ashore now.
No.
It's not allowed because civvies will take videos and
Yeah.
they'll share them and retweet them or whatever it is they do, and it's just
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Aye,
I mean, if what you do at work's up to you, you know what I mean? So,
or a Saturday night.
aye, well, yeah, it's your free time. It's
You
free
may
time,
laugh,
mate.
You may laugh.
So,
The amount of high heels I've had to replace for our lads because of
see,
it.
and people say the Royal Marines is in the Navy. You know what I mean?
Well, they pay our wages, to be fair.
Well, and they lend you dresses. We have plenty of Navy people who've been in here, but we haven't had you're the first Marine.
All right,
I think
okay.
so. I think you're the first Marine. So living on a ship. Well, in fact, we've gone ahead a bit. So you in Thornaby, totally ruining a fucking new estate that's being built. This is the problem. We've talked downstairs about homelessness.
Aye.
It's fucking costing you. All them families would have been. All them families would have been fucking homed.
Don't
if it
forget
wasn't
Megan
for-
Dave as well.
oh.
And Chris Hill. Don't forget-
Not Chris Hills, man. Poor Chris. Know what I mean? He's probably a bricky now. He's got to work him on the block. Like, oh, fucking Chris
You're
Hills.
sacked.
Aye. I've been listening to that podcast. Aye. So you've grown up. You obviously you didn't stop that estate.
No.
Are you the only brother that went in there or wanted to go into the forces? Aye.
Not wanted to. Dave wanted to. He was going through university. He wanted to join the RAF, and he had aspirations to be a pilot. And I think he would have pushed himself, but he found out later on, or in his early 20s, he had hay fever,
Oh, fuck me.
so couldn't join up. So went on to be an electrician. Like
You wouldn't
that.
think they would be here in the cockpit, would you?
Can you imagine flying 100 feet above a field and starting sneezing?
Aye.
Wouldn't be very
Just
pretty.
blank. Your eyes all watering and that.
So,
Aye, so and you were the only one who went in the Marines, aye?
well, the only one who went in the force.
Aye.
Yeah.
And what made you pick the Marines? Couldn't get in the army.
Well, it's funny that because when I walked in the careers office, it was the Army careers office in Middlesbrough, and the Navy careers office was upstairs. And I actually walked in and sat in front of the Army, the guy in the Army careers office, and he said, "Yeah," he says, "What can I do for you, mate?" He said, "I said, oh, I want to join the Royal Marines." Now, at that very moment, I'm now in sales. If he took the opportunity and gone, "Why do you want to join the Marines, son?" I might have ended up joining the army because I was a young 20-year-old and influential, but he just said, "Fuck off upstairs." So the Navy's upstairs.
Tuck them bricks with you.
Aye. And the high heels and the dress.
Aye, you definitely want to be upstairs, mate. You got your bag from next there with a few women's clothes in.
Yeah.
Aye, definitely upstairs,
Aye,
mate.
so, but yeah, so I mean, what really made me want to join the, it's funny because I actually wanted to join the Army Air Corps, and I went to see my dad, and my dad said, I said to my dad, "I want to join the army, Dad. I want to fly helicopters," and I did. I genuinely had a passion for it, and even when I joined the Marines, I did. And he said, "You're not joining the army, son." I says, "Why not?" He says, "Well, they'll put you in the fucking light infantry." No, he didn't.
Yeah. You fucking dying to get that in, did you?
Cannon for that. I'm not finished here yet. So he said, "Your name's O'Connell." I says, "Right." He says, "The first thing they'll do, send you to Northern Ireland. When you get off the boat, they'll be waiting for you." He says, "Join the Royal Marines." I says, "All right." I said, "What do they do like that?" He says, "They look after the Queen's son." He says, "That's what they'll do." All right, okay. So I looked into it and I thought, that looks canny. And the Royal Marines fly helicopters as well. You can get to a corporal and you can fly Lynx or Gazelle helicopters. So that's what the reason was. I actually joined the Marines. So first
Did
posting
you-
was Northern Ireland as well.
Aye, aye. And you didn't get on a fucking, did you get on a boat? Fucking dad. Did you do quite well at school?
No,
So what made you think they were going to give you a helicopter to fly?
because you only had to get, and the same in the Army Air Corps at the time, you only had to get to corporal. So you only had to be a corporal, and then you could apply for the position.
Alright.
Now, you could be an officer, or you could be a corporal. And it's one of the reasons I put my chit in, one of the reasons I left, because about 3 years into my career, they changed that you had to be a commissioned officer instead of a non-commissioned officer.
Right.
So I thought I looked into it, the only thing I could do, I couldn't go Corps Commission, I would have had to have left, served my 4.5 years, left, rejoined as an officer, gone through the full 32 weeks, well, probably a little bit longer for an officer, gone through the full training again, and then apply for it that way. And I just thought, I'm not doing this. So yeah.
So what did you think of your training then?
Tough, as you would imagine. First time I saw grown men cry, I'll be honest, because it is hard.
I don't know, them high heels nipped in there.
And as for them thongs. But no, it was. I joined up with 32 guys and 11 of us passed out. And every one of them, actually one of the hardest things I did was something called the Potential Recruits course, which is 3 days of trying to weed out civvies that think they want to be bootnecks. And most of them are not going to make it. And I think there was about 20 on our course and 3 of us passed. It was really hard to get in. I'm sure it is now. And then when we joined up, it was tough to get through. Mentally exhausting. I mean, they knew how to break you, and they would break you on a daily basis. You know, you were getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock, going to bed late on a night, physically wrecked. You had to have 4 or 5 meals a day just to be able to get the calories for the physical exercise you were doing. You weren't allowed to walk anywhere. You ran everywhere. There was phys all day, then there was things like the endurance course and the commando course you were training to do. But it was very mentally draining as well, learning what you had to do in 32 weeks. Looking back, and even when I look now at my booklet that I still have of everything that you had to be taught, from fieldcraft, first aid, navigation, how to get the rifles out of shit, all of them things you had to do. You know, it was a lot to take in.
Right. Did you how did you manage, and I don't know what the correct name is, but it's the rope across, and then you'd hang down, and then you've got to flick your leg over.
Yeah.
Did you manage doing that? Or
Yeah. I mean,
what is that name? You
God,
forgot
the
as
guys
well.
will kill us. It was 22 years ago, man. And in fact, it was about 27 years ago. It was the I forget, but it was a technique.
Aye.
Once you learnt the technique, it was like climbing a 30-foot rope. That was just a technique. It was daunting. If somebody said climb that rope, you probably couldn't do it. Once they taught you the technique. And I think that was everything about the Corps and everything about the forces, and everything about the British forces were trained well. And it's not a case of you have to do something, just get on with it. It's right, guys, this is how you do it. I mean, my training, week 1, I was taught how to wash, how to...
We spoke about that in here, like, we spoke about that in here, and like, fucking hell, it's a bit weird. Obviously, you being from Middlesbrough, it wouldn't have been weird.
Well,
but
it's the first time
a grum bloke coming in, tatting his cock, getting his cock out and saying, this is how you wash behind your foreskin. You were like, hold on, mate, I'm only in the naffy. You know what I mean? And he wanted a fucking Twix.
But I was, and I think that's what made it. It made it.
That's what made it.
Watching
Fucking brilliant.
foreskin back.
When I ask you your best bits, that's it.
You've done it. That's it.
I've peaked too soon, I know.
So did he. But no, I think it was about the training. And so it was under a tank of water or over a tank of water, and I was in the tank of water plenty of times, as the whole troop was, often in your number 1s or your number 2s, because that's what they did. The beast said you're in there, and then you had to go back and get yourself dobbied and get your kit clean for the next day.
Can I ask, this will sound a stupid question, but so we had a lass called Sam, who she was in the Navy, and then we were talking about, I think she slept out a couple of times, I think Exmoor or something like that, and the Marines were with her, and she says, they were all lying in their body bags, right? But obviously to us they're called bivvy bags, and I said, I think you're mistaken, and she went, no, the Marines call them body bags, and I was saying, well, have they not just told you that? So what is that what Marines call them, body bags, or do you call them bivvy bags now?
Bivvy bags.
Aye.
They were
So
probably just winding
I
you up.
fucking said to her. I said to her, aye. So fuck you, Sam. Aye. We all of us discussed it, and we're all saying in the gunners, it's fucking bivvy bags. Like body bags is what you put dead bodies in, and unless they were dead, I don't think it was them.
No. I mean, we had our own lingo. Definitely wasn't body bags.
Well, that's what I like about the gunners. People say stuff, and instantly you see people turn around and they remember that. You know, just some stupid word. You know.
Aye.
I mean, the other day I got rung off somebody for saying mong, but mong, but like mong isn't like a derogatory thing. You know, like you say that if you fucked up. You know what I mean?
Aye.
You know, and like only squaddies understand that, you know.
Yeah, it's a different language and a different banter. You know, the what we got away with talking about and joking about and laughing about. And that's one thing I don't. That's one thing that even 22 years on, I still find hard not being able to have that banter.
Why do you think I built this in my head? Just so I can have a laugh. It's great though, isn't it? Because like I say, you could be in a pub or something, and you would know if there was some squaddies in, just by walking past the table and hearing what they're saying. Little words, you know. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. Just, you know. I understand political correctness, but sometimes you should be able to say what you want, like.
Yeah, and I think it's not having any malice in what you say.
No.
Is the big difference. You know, so you might say something, somebody might say that's sexist, that's ageist, that's racist. Well, actually, you know, there's a difference between having a laugh with your mates, you know, and being sexist or racist. Or I mean, one of my mates, Chaz, he's got a big nose. That doesn't make me conquist because I used to piss out of his nose all the time. Or Titch is the size of a rare, you know, of a hobbit.
Let's not bring foot and size in it, man.
You know, I'm not sizist, but me, I'm as blind as a fucking coot. You know what I mean? And
I'd say the way you dressed.
But it's true. I used to call me Mr. Magoo, and I didn't bother me. Nah. But if I turn on to somebody in the office and call them Mr. Magoo, Christ.
You're no good. You're no good. You've been on a fucking warning.
I do.
Just because you own the company doesn't mean you can't get a warning, mate.
No. My brother owns the other half. He's the HR manager.
Is he? Oh, no.
He's my bigger brother as well.
Fucking after what he did to them walls. He's the HR manager.
I used to strip all them wires out. He's an electrician now.
That's where he learned his trade, isn't it? Bastard. So, training, it's obviously really hard. My nephew was a Marine, he's left now, and I went to his passing out parade and that, and I watched some videos and stuff, and obviously I've seen things on the telly. And it looks really, really hard, like really, really hard.
Yeah.
And I mean, everyone we have in training's hard for everyone, because whatever you've gone through personally, it is hard anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the likes of, we had a guy in last week who did P Company,
right?
And obviously your training, they basically regarded as the toughest, you know, the toughest two things. Like,
no, it was, but it was hard. But I still remember at the end. I mean, I had a corporal, George Dobie, and he was a cunt. Sorry, Paige, my daughter's going to be listening to this, but he was an absolute arse. But at the end, I thanked him. Because I knew that I'd earned my green lid. You know, there's one occasion where we were about 6 weeks in and we got our rifles. I was over the moon. Got me SE80. I thought,
sold you now.
Oh, that's it.
That's
I'm
it.
done.
Where's the Iranian embassy?
So we went down the bottom field and we're doing, you know, weapons handling, weapons training. He taught us the marksmanship principles. He was being dead canny. First time he'd been nice to us, and we thought that's all it took. We only had to get our rifles, for fuck's sake, and he's been nice to us. So it was like, write these down, guys. Marksmanship principles. And, you know, the shot should be released and fired and all that. And we're writing them down and we're having a bit of a crack with them. So, this is it. We've made it now, guys. It's just now about techniques. Went back to the grots next day. Weapons, back down the bottom fields. Right, first, lined us up. You, first the first marksmanship principle. None of us had learned it. He didn't tell us to learn it. And he was like, right, you don't know it. Get up on the fruit bat. So they had like metal bars across the top of the building. There was an open roof. We had to hang with full kit on, 22 pounds of webbing, rifle, and just hang on there until we'd all repeated. None of us ever could, but we all had no skin on our fingers by the time we finished. And that's how tough it was. But at the end, 11 of us made out of 33, and I knew I'd earned that green lid, and I knew every man around me was going to be able to start out. I could trust them in any situation, and there was very few people, bar one or two through my whole career, that I didn't have that same respect for, because I knew that they'd gone through that same training, that same...
Are you still in touch with anyone from training?
Not from training, not so much, but from a time in the Marines I am. I mean, my best mate Chaz, he lives in Washington. I
thought you'd say his nose for me, man.
I know. You can see him. We used to love going out on a boat. We didn't take paddles. It was just So yeah, there's quite a few of them, and some of them went off the radar. There's one guy went off the radar recently. Facebook. I mean, it's great. I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but it's great for keeping in touch. And one of the lads went off the radar, but it was great that everybody's like, where is he? Is he okay? And when he came back on, just that camaraderie about getting back together and is everything being all right? And you well, I've been through a bit of crap and just getting back together, you know. And it's nice to actually meet up as well. So about every year we try and meet up, but that's messy. That's messy.
It is great. I've just been at Tenerife with lads I did my training with in 1986.
Really?
7 of us. Fucking hell, man. That 4 days in Tenerife was harder than the year's training I did. I fucking tell you. It was really mental. Like,
Great. You just morph back to that person you were.
The strange.
The lingo comes
yeah.
out. It's funny, when I was coming down, I nipped home and I had something to eat. And I just went back into it, like the lingo, because I knew I was coming here. But, our lass is like, I'm like, I'm going for Adobe shower. And I'm having some Stranrad and some food, and it just all comes back, you know what I mean? And
she's like, have you went mental?
What's he talking about?
Have you? Oh no, was that a doobie you gone for? Good times, man. Talking about big noses, have you ever seen that program about? It's just started on, I think, Amazon Prime, about the Jew people and chasing the Nazis.
No.
It's fucking brilliant, man.
No.
It's proper good, like
Jew people.
Aye, yeah. They gone round, mate. They've hunt Nazis that got sent to America after the war.
All right.
It's fucking really,
No,
really
I've seen
good.
it.
I mean, I know I've went totally off thingy there, like, but I look forward. Right, I started. What day are we now? Thursday. I must have started at Monday, and I'm up to episode 9 tonight when I get in. Every morning I wake up and I think, what time do you think I'll finish work so I can watch another one?
We're getting off early then, aren't we?
Aye. So that's wrap it in there, That's really good. Watch it.
Yeah, will do.
Hunters on Amazon Prime.
Right.
Al Pacino's in it. That's good. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. I don't know why I started talking about that. It's because you talking about big noses.
That's been boring the fuck out.
It's just because you started talking about big noses, mate. So where was what I normally ask everyone is, where was your favourite person, right? Or your most memorable sort of thing that you did?
Probably my favourite person was Northern Ireland, because it's probably the closest I got to doing my job.
Same as me.
Yeah, and I mean, I joined in 92, left in 98, and 93, 94, so I was still fairly fresh, 2.5 years in. Went to Northern Ireland, got posted to South Armagh, based in Besbrook. So
Besbrook Mill.
Yeah, Besbrook Mill, and so I went all over South Armagh.
Plenty of helicopters there for you.
Yeah, I
It's
loved
fucking
it.
helicopter watching.
We used to love winding the pilots up. But anyway, so yeah, I loved that because I was being a soldier. I was doing what I joined to do, and that was, you know, get out on the ground and do my job. And I had a Lance Corporal that was our 2IC, and he took me under his wing. Great guy called Matthew Wild Goose, coolest name ever. He got bollocked once for using the name Wild Goose because they thought it was his nickname. But he took me under his wing in Northern Ireland, and I loved that post, and because it was the closest I got to doing my job.
I think that's what you joined for, isn't it? That type of experience.
I think, yeah, infantry don't join to sit on their ass, and you do spend too long doing that, and you don't realise it when you're there, when you're in the army or the Marines or whatever, that you're doing these repetitive things because it's training and you're getting good at it, and you think, God, how many times do I have to do an ambush routine, or how long do I have to do fire control orders or whatever it is, but it's because you're training to be the best, and to, you know, as the British forces are. But you get bored and nothing's happening. And I think that's why a lot of guys leave. And I mean, I left in 98 because there was nothing happening. You know, nothing, you know, the Twin Towers hadn't happened, Iraq hadn't kicked off, Afghan hadn't kicked off. So myself and most of the guys who left at the same time left because I didn't join to do this. I joined to see some action. And to be brutally honest, if I hadn't been married with a kid when it did kick off, I'd have been straight back in.
Aye.
You know, But yeah, that is. But the probably the best thing I did, or the best posting I did, or the best trip was Montserrat in the Caribbean islands. Went out there to.
Sounds kind of
I'll tell you what, mate. I was on. We were on standby. I was on leave, but we were on standby to go anywhere in the world, and got the phone call. You've got to get back to Plymouth. So drove down to Plymouth, and sure enough, you're off to Montserrat. I was like, do you know what, Nanny? This is great. So got on the back of a C-130. This C-130 had a
So
huge,
what's a C-130?
Transport plane,
Okay.
Hercules.
All right. Hi.
So they had this engine they were transporting to the Caribbean for a ship. It was a Rolls-Royce engine, huge thing. So we were squeezed in the back of the C-130 and flown to Canada and then down to Montserrat. But we had about 4 weeks there, just setting up an area in case the volcano kicked off, because that's why we were going. The volcano in Montserrat was going to kick off. So Plymouth was right underneath the volcano, but north of the island was a bit derelict. So we had a load of tents that the American Army had donated, and we were setting up the tents, getting emergency routes sorted and that. And but it was just great to be there doing that humanitarian type thing in such a beautiful place. But we got lots of time off, because there's nothing really to do. You're waiting for a volcano to erupt.
Did it erupt?
Not while we were there. We waited till we left. It was funny. We got there the first night, and we had to stop in the cricket ground underneath the mountain. So the Montserrat cricket ground. We're all there now, tense. One of the lads looks up and goes, "Shit, it's erupting," and we could see the top of the volcano glowing. And so all these bootnecks start going, "Shit, it's erupting," and start getting ready. So we're starting packing our kit up and that. And the locals are just looking at us as if to say, "Fuck." And we're thinking these guys are cool as mustard. They're not doing anything. And we're flapping, thinking the volcano's going off. It was only the moon coming up behind it, wasn't it? So,
Fucking hell, lads. Oh, yeah, man.
get your shit together. Play it cool.
Play cricket. You know what I mean? In the moonlight.
But we got half subs as well, which was like 75 quid a day. So the locals were loving that, because we were having barbecues on the beach every day, and strawberry daiquiris, and so it was actually.
Fucking sounds brilliant, doesn't it?
It was great. And then after that, we went to Anguilla, because just before we left, a hurricane came through the Caribbean islands and knocked Anguilla up. So we flew there and helped them do some
More tents.
Not so much. That was more chopping up trees that were on top of houses. So trying to help them rebuild the communities.
That's rewarding, that kind of work, isn't it?
Yeah, no.
We never did anything like that. Like, I never did any humanitarian kind of stuff, but that is kind of rewarding, that. So that was your favourite place. Where was your worst, or what was your worst posting?
Posting, or I don't think I had any, because I think we did Norway a lot. So I did 4 Norways. I did 1 Norway with a broken leg.
Did you? What happened there?
I fell down a.
Fucking high heels in the snow, mate. It's no good, man.
I didn't actually break it in Norway. I broke it back home. I used to live in Sedgefield, and I fell down a pothole and snapped my leg. And when I went back to camp, I says, I can still go to Norway, for God's sake. I can clean up the galley if I have to. And so, went and just did admin duties out there. But no, I don't think I had a bad posting. I mean, the hardest thing or the worst thing I did was probably training.
Aye.
Because it was tough, as we've already said. Zimbabwe was great. I mean, I don't know why the hell I left. You know what I mean?
I'm starting to think I might join up.
Belize, Brunei, Zimbabwe. It was, I probably spent 6 months of the year out of the country. I mean, that's one good thing.
You always on a boat?
No, rarely. You would go on them sometimes. We used to have some troop ships called Sir Galahad, Tristram, and they're all named after the Knights of the Round Table, but they were horrible things. They were merchant navy ships, and they were shitty little things. 4 bunk beds, not 4 in a bunk bed. That was only on Saturday night. 4 bunk beds against the wall that were sort of folded back to be.
And I have a piss tray in. Right, because on Sam, and then when I looked at her and she was like, "What are you looking?" I was like, "It's like it's a normal to have a piss tray, like." So in the army, you didn't have piss trays; you just piss on people underneath. You know what I mean? we weren't forward thinking. Put something underneath to catch the piss. Yes, the person underneath. That's the person.
Open them out.
Aye.
But yeah, so being on them wasn't very nice. I think that was shitty being on them. Just they were like sweat boxes.
It doesn't appeal to me. I went on a a boat when I was in the Falklands, just for a look around, and the same sort of crack, just the bunk beds and knew where to put your clothes. I know you don't need clothes because you're fucking at sea, but you know I like to have bits and pieces and trainers and stuff, and it's fucking not for me at all. Like I've got a client who's was a submariner, like, and I was and Sam said, "Oh, they don't wash the clothes; they have to burn everything when they come back and stuff." And I asked him, you know, because she's fucking wrong about the
About the body bags.
body bags. You know what I mean? So she's giving Duff Jen out all over the place here. So I asked him, and he was like, "No, you wash them, but it's really they still stink because you're washing them, sort of really hand washing and stuff." And he says you defling them away when you come out, everything gets burnt, like because you've had 6 months being under there.
Just stinking.
Fuck,
That's one thing I couldn't have been like. One of the lads I worked with was a submariner, like.
Aye.
But, nah.
What do you work with now?
Aye.
Aye.
There's quite a few ex-forces lads work with us.
Aye.
So there's an ex-bootneck, ex-submariner. We've got some guys ex-army. So
I put you onto the bronze. Did you get the bronze?
we did.
Well, have you put in for the silver?
Not yet. I don't think we'd meet the criteria, but
I think you might. Silver, you've got till next month.
have we?
I'll give you the link if you want.
Aye, send it across. I mean,
And
it's
Nanny
always,
say no.
well, aye.
Maybe good man. We'll go down and pick them up together. There's like a ceremony where they give you and you have a dinner and stuff.
All right.
Aye, so we'll go together.
Get some free scran.
Aye, and
Class.
drink.
Aye.
Aye, we can it.
Greg's
I
party.
get it on it, man. Get on it. Definitely. You know, they want more people to put in for them.
I think it's important that employers do.
It's fucking
Go
right.
for
It is. Aye.
And it's not that it's just a badge or it's another thing to shout about or get work from it. It is about supporting
Yeah.
squaddies. I mean, we're big on that. I mean, we've had you send us CVs and we keep them on record.
Yeah.
And if we can, we will support the guys.
I
and
mean,
girls who are
when
ex-forces.
when you did this building, obviously you sorted this whole building out. You know, I did a great deal for us to properly look after us. You sent some lads to do some work, and one lad knew one of the clients.
Aye.
It's fucking unbelievable. He served with them.
So he was ex-forces
Aye.
as well.
It was unbelievable. I served with them. You know, and I remember the shit charity I worked for before.
Shush, that's one of my other customers.
Well, I got talking to a couple of lads. We sorted us out there as well.
Aye.
And a couple of lads, they were ex-forces. So you must have a few on your books.
Well, like I say, I mean, the thing is, the ex-squaddies, the worth ethics there,
Yeah.
the graft, and they don't. I'm not knocking anybody who works for me. I'm not. I've got a good bunch of lads and great team, but what I do find from ex-forces guys is they don't come to you and say, "I've got a problem." They come to you and say, "Just letting you know, we had a problem." But what we did was this, and we sorted it, and it's fine, and that is just something that's inherent in guys that have and girls that have been out and in the forces.
And I think it's great that employers like yourself do that. You know, because the squaddies have got loads of transferable skills. You know, people think, fucking just because you can around shooting people. You know, there's things, but you know, the stuff you've learnt, like the majority is good. I'm not going to say all, but always 10 minutes early for anything. You know what I mean? Always 10 minutes early. Time management, things like that, because you've got to be good. You know, especially if you're in the field, you've got to pack your kit up. You've got to get washed. You've got to have your breakfast. All that's got to be done really quickly.
Yeah.
You know, all that, and you. I'm not going to say everyone, but you very, very rarely get people taking time off work, people being late for work.
Yeah.
So you don't have that because that's built into you.
Yeah.
You know.
And it is right through training, right through. And it's knocked out you if you've got it, or if you haven't got it, it's knocked out you. Know, if you don't get it knocked out you don't make it through training.
Well, you wouldn't, would you? You know. And the great life lessons. I mean, I joined when I was 16, so really everything I learned sort of modelled my whole life, the way I try to live my life anyway, you know what I mean? So that's one of the best things I would think that came out of me joining the forces. You know, the life lessons I learned.
Yeah.
You know, because I came from a big family, but everyone was sort of left then, so I was at home. My parents were quite old for me being 16. You know, I wouldn't have got them kind of experiences if I'd stayed at home, if that makes sense, you know, and I don't know if I would have been the same person. So I do appreciate what the army did there. I mean, there's fucking loads of shit stuff I done in the army, like, you know what I mean, but...
Yeah, and I think there's some people that are made for the forces. I mean, I look at some kids and I've got to say I'll include my 16-year-old son. I look at him and I think, you know, it is you you've got something about you that you would do well in the forces, because in Civvy Street, I think you do. I think you do well. I mean, I'm proud of all my kids. All three of them are going to do well. But my 16-year-old son, you can just see there's something about him, and he'll do well in the forces because he's got that thing about him, and he's got that sixth sense of humour as well.
That's,
so that's probably
he's in.
helps.
He's in.
He's in.
Does he fancy it, or are you just going to say, what you want to do is join the fucking Marines?
No, he's. I mean, our lass will he'll hate me for saying this because she doesn't want any of my kids to join the forces. Most mums don't.
Well, you wouldn't, would you?
But I'll be proud of whatever any of them do. But yes, we've talked. So I never really talked a lot about being in the Marines. There was books lying around. I wouldn't tell too many stories for the reason I want them to make their own decisions. But he's always, since he was quite young, really fancied the forces. You know, he not necessarily just the Marines. You know, he's talked about the army. In which case I'll disown him. But no, he's. I think there's just something about the character that he is, and I think he'll fit quite well within the forces.
It is a certain character in it.
Yeah.
It is. It's weird because you when you sit and say the gunners are in here, it's strange to have all them characters have same sort of traits.
Yeah.
You know, and I know you learn stuff when you join the forces, but I think that must be something in you anyway. You have to be fucking mental to want to go in somewhere and get shot at anyway, didn't you? You know what I mean?
But you know what it is, the characters as well. It's not even a personality trait. So all of my mates are all different in so many different ways, but they've all got the sixth sense of humour. They've all got that banter. They've all got the camaraderie. They'll all do anything for you. And there's no such thing as one person being in trouble in the forces. No. And that's one thing I miss about it. I mean, I've got lots of civvy mates, but I still don't feel as comfortable as when I'm sat in front of a room full of squaddies or full of bootnecks, or because you can say things and do things that people just, they don't bat an eyelid.
Yeah, it doesn't faze anybody.
Nah.
It doesn't faze anybody. And we have quite a lot of females, like ex-army and ex-navy and RAF, and it's great because they don't bat an eyelid either.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone, say, because we have different people coming doing talks and stuff, now if a civilian woman comes in, people seem to cut the language in the thing, but when the squaddy lasses are there, or the navy, you know, it's just as bad, you know. And that's a good thing. I want everyone to feel comfortable. You know, nobody saying anything racist, anybody's being horrible to anyone, you know, or bullying or anything like that. It's just a laugh. Everyone gets shit. I mean, I get shit all the fucking time. You know what I mean? And I'm happy with that. Not surprised. Well, wait till you come. Wait till you come.
Oh, I definitely will.
I don't think we've had a Royal Marine come in there. I'm not sure we have, you know. This is bigging the Royal Marines up, like, because this means they're never in crisis and they look after their own shit, isn't it? Well, have everybody else, but not Marines.
They used to call me the peacemaker when I was in, because wherever I went, there was a ceasefire called. So I went to Northern Ireland. They called a ceasefire. I went to Montserrat. The volcano decided not to erupt.
That was the moon. That was the moon.
It was the moon. And we were supposed to go to Zaire when it all kicked off over there. When the rebels took a load of civvies, and then they heard that the Brits were coming along and they released them all. I was gutted. I knew we were going because the issue is our junglies. I mean, you knew it was serious when they give you your junglies. Because it was like they didn't like you having them because you just proffed them. We have a junglies back? Nah. They're waterproofs then you give me back. They're your rubber waterproofs. Nah. You're not having me junglies.
Well, if you hadn't got out, then Tony Blair wouldn't have sent us into a phony war.
No.
You know what I mean? If you just stayed, you would have stopped all that, wouldn't you?
Mate, we would be at peace.
It would be petrol would be cheap. You know what I mean? Diesel would be all right. You know, all this wouldn't have happened. So I'm assuming you really enjoyed your time, but it was boring at the end. So what made you? What was your final decision? Did you just time up thinking, right, that's it? I
think that it started with the fact that they changed it so that non-commissioned officers couldn't fly. They trained to be helicopter pilots. But I think the big thing was, I mean, I got sent to 4-5 Commando, which is Arbroath up in Scotland, and I've got nothing against the Scots, but we weren't welcome there. There's a big old air base full of 1,000 Royal Marines every Friday night hitting their little town, and you weren't welcome there. And it was a bit grim. Some of the lads liked 4-5. I went up to a very good friend's top table who was leaving recently, and he loved it. He didn't want to be anywhere but 4-5 Commando, but it was a bit grim, and the fact that nothing was happening, as I say, I didn't join the Royal Marines to sit on a camp and learn to do the same old thing over and over again. And the postings were great and I enjoyed them, but I think I was getting to a stage where it was time to move on in life. I was 28-year-old, start thinking about maybe getting a family, and I didn't leave to plan that, but I figured I need to look at what my next challenge was going to be, and I didn't know what that was. I left with nothing. You know, I was anti-tank trained. If anybody had any bother with tanks, I was your man.
In Middlesbrough.
I could. Well, that's true.
Go and see Steve. Fucking bloke down the road's got a tank. Go and see Steve. He'll sort it out.
T72 down the road there. I'll take it out for you, mate. But no, there was just no interest there anymore, and I think it got repetitive. Nothing was happening. My career path that I'd joined up to follow was never going to happen. I got a little bit angry about the Marines. I actually started to get a little bit pissed off with the fact that it wasn't going the way I'd wanted to, and I started to remember I left and I sold everything that I had that was green.
Aye.
I didn't want to wear green anymore.
You fucking jattered, didn't
I know. I got over it, mate. It's been 22 years.
I'm just talking about the doorway. I'll put something green on as well.
I put my Desi boots on as well. Especially for you, Jim. Dusted them off and put them on especially for you. But yeah, I think it was time to move on.
So what did you do when you first left them? Did you find transition all right?
Still haven't, mate.
But some people do it.
It's
some people do it, man.
I have. Initially, I think because I just threw myself into what I was doing. So I met my wife at my mate's leaving do. I was still in at the time. I was serving. I had a couple of months left to do. And I met my wife there. I did a resettlement course in data cabling, which is what I sell now. And I got a job with a company called Conex in Bolton that my mate had gone. Chaz, who I've mentioned, he joined same time as me, left the same time, done the same resettlement course, and I followed him there. But I met my wife at his leaving do, and within a year we were married with a kid and a house, and my life was just 90 mile an hour after that, you know. So I threw myself at things, and I've never been in a position where I've been able to sort of not or feel that the transition hadn't happened, but because I was so busy. But I think the transition is tough for a lot of people, and certainly even now I find it hard to be in Civvy Street because it's a different mentality. It's a better mentality because you feel comfortable. You can be who you want to be without getting frowned upon, without getting looked at the wrong way, without saying something and people say, "Do you really fucking say that?"
And I'd get around for that all the time. People say to me, "You said that out loud." I fucking know.
You just thought that.
Did you think you just thought
so
that?
I find a lot of the time I just don't talk.
Right.
You know, because I don't want to say it.
No, I'm glad you're not doing that tonight. It's been a one shit podcast, isn't it? So obviously you into that data cabling. So how did Vantex come about?
Myself and my brother. So Dave worked with the same place as me, and we both did a course called CCNA, which is a network type course. We went to see our employers and said, "We want to do this course and push our business forward." Yeah, okay, then. So we did it on our own back in our own time, and we paid for the course. And they said, "We'll use that qualification to push this business into the next level." It was a 2-year course. About a year in, me and Dave felt we were in a position now to do that. Went to see the bosses and said, "Look, this is what we're ready to do this." And they went, "You know what it is, guys, we're not going to take that direction." So our time was wasted on this course, and we still had a year to go. So we used that year to plan our own business, and figured that if we start our own business, we can, do what we wanted to do, but we're in charge of our own destiny. And so that's how it started off, yeah. In a wet port cabin down in Teesside, working for somebody else, we decided. Dave said, "Fuck off, I'd rather start sell socks on South Shields Market." So, and even to this day, we joke about that, and he says, we still should have fucking sold socks.
Socks, eh? Everyone needs socks, mate.
Indeed,
you know what I mean? Everyone needs socks. Had the mills maybe just one, but everyone needs socks. So, I mean, it's been I'm not going to big you up too much, but it's been a success, hasn't it?
It is a success.
Yes.
Now, because we've got a great team behind us and we've worked very, very hard. First, I mean, if anybody said to me, I want to start my own business and I want to do well. I was like, right, take the next 10 years and just forget about them 10 years. Just wipe them out. Tell your kids you're not going to see them. Tell your wife you're not going to see them. Tell them Saturdays and Sundays aren't weekends anymore.
Yeah.
It's just another working day. Days start at 6 o'clock and finish at 8 o'clock. So it's really hard. And there's times when we nearly failed. And there's times that I think that if me and Dave didn't have each other, we would have failed because we wouldn't have been strong enough to get through on our own.
It's character building, isn't it?
It has been,
Fucking
it has
hard.
been, but it's hard. It's very hard to do that. But it is a success now. I mean, we employ 60 people. We turn over £6 million, and we've got some great clients. You know.
Well, Sunderland Football Club.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's fucking brilliant. It's
We've-
advertised there, you know. It's for me. That's if I could have one thing, I would have Vic's advertised on the thing.
On Sunderland Football Club.
Because one of the best things that, well, for me personally, the best thing that's happened for Vic's is that put it on the big screen. Put the logo on the big screen, and for me being a Sunderland fan, that's just fucking amazing. Like, considering, you know, it's really good. But I know what you mean about there isn't weekends, there isn't like my working day is as soon as I wake up, I'm on my phone doing emails or whatever, and then I'm doing that at 12 o'clock at night. You know, it's fucking constant.
I mean,
and
it's
it's
better
really
now.
hard.
It is better for me now and for Dave because we do have such a good team. But that was the turning point, getting a good team behind us, and getting the good people behind us to do them jobs. Because it's the hardest thing letting go.
Yeah.
And you let go and somebody doesn't quite do as good a job as you, but you've got to you've got to trust them and you've got to let them to just get on.
We have a brilliant team. I'm not just saying this because Joe, who's not there, but Joe from Tile Image, you know, all this kind of stuff. He organises all this, helps us with the Facebook, all the media stuff, the videos. He did a brilliant documentary, you know, brilliant. You know, that's what's drove it forward, the media part of it. And I love doing this, you know. But I have good volunteers who help us with all sorts. I've got a good sort of 2 directors, you know, and I like being around people that are positive. I fucking cannot stand people that are negative, like, you know, because you come to work and I want to be happy all the time. I hear horrible stories all day long, and I don't want to hear that from people who I'm working with.
Yeah.
You know, it comes from the clients. I don't want to have negativity like put on us. You know, it's too much. It's too much.
No, and it's great what you guys do. I mean, it's close. I think you need to go national. I know you don't want to.
No, at the minute I do. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Some people from Essex have asked us to do it in Essex. So they've asked us to speak at this national conference. They've asked us to go down to Essex and set up a pilot scheme and stuff like that. And we're in talks about it. But what I don't want to be is a head of a massive organisation. I'd rather sort of franchise it so we get some money, and Sunderland would always be sort of the base of it all.
Yeah.
And I don't have to work in Essex. Like, I would have to for a little bit, but all this is just things that may happen in the future.
Yeah.
It's not what I want, but I need the money to pay for this building, and if that's what I need to do, I don't mind prostituting myself out. In that sense, in that sense, before you start with your marine
You
stuff.
said you wouldn't mention how we met.
Well, how did you bring that up? How we met? So, if you'd like to talk about how we did meet, are you all right talking about
Oh,
that?
of course, eh?
So the charity I worked for, there was a guy in the IT department, and he said like, "Oh, I know this lad, and he's having a few problems. He's ex-forces, so I made contact with you, and then we had a few chats, and met each other and that. And how did that all work out?
It worked out well. I'm in a better place now. I mean, we're going back 4 years?
It might even be more, is it? In a minute, so it'd be 4 years.
Roughly 4 years. So I know that because it's when I realised, or somebody told me, that I was suffering from depression and anxiety, and it was to do with my lifestyle. Not my lifestyle per se, but my life. It was just too busy, and I had so much on and so many influences and strong influences in my life. From the people I work with to the customers to to everything that was going on around me, and I had been diagnosed roughly at that time with anxiety and depression, which was hard for me to. It was actually my sister that first told me, "You need to go and talk to somebody, Steve." I sat down, I poured my heart out to her, and she said, "You need to go and talk to somebody, Steve." I says, "What do you mean? I'm talking to you." And she says, well, you've got depression. I said, fuck off. Fuck off. I'm a
Life
bloke.
and
I haven't
soul,
got-
mate, man.
I haven't got depression. She says, no, Steve, please go and talk to somebody. So she gave me a number of somebody that she knew had in fact, I don't think Rebecca would mind me mention that she'd gone through a similar situation. She'd gone through depression. And she gave me the number of Sunderland self-referral, part of the NHS for mental well-being, and I rang them up and cried like a frigging baby on the phone because I suddenly accepted where I was. And the time, I'll never, the reason we want to do so much for you guys, or I personally do, is because there's a few people that helped me through that. My sister did, my wife certainly did, and you did, and being able to talk to people, and Jeanette Winchester, who was my therapist at the time, she was a wonderful lady that helped me through it. And I think that's one of the things that is so important, is talking to people. You know, and there's all these campaigns on telly now, let's talk, but it's true. You know, pick up the phone and bring your mate.
Yes, man.
It doesn't matter who you talk to, you've got to talk.
It's the first initial. The first initial chat. You know, you feel. I don't know. You feel a bit weak. You know, that breaking that silence. You. This is me personally.
Yeah.
I felt a little bit weak and a little bit. You know, people's gonna think I'm a fucking knob, really.
Yeah.
You know, by saying it, but I think once the first time you see it, I think it's all right, man.
Yeah.
And the more people who do it, it's better. Like, there's far too many people kill themselves.
It kills
I
me
mean,
that people do that.
That's all you hear about now.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I think one of the things that I come to accept is that when people do take their own lives with depression, I don't see it. So somebody will say to me, how did they die? They committed suicide. I said, well, why? Oh, they had severe depression. I said, well, they actually died of depression. It's the depression that's killed them, that's made them and pushed them to that. Because if they didn't have that, it's unlikely they would have done what they did. And I think it's terrible that there's not enough help and support, not just for veterans, for anybody out there, because it creeps up on you and you don't know it's coming. I mean, they call it the black dog, and the bastard still visits me. I'll still get days, and I'll even say to some of the people at work who do know what I went through, or you know, like my brothers or some of the guys who I was able to open up to, and certainly I'll tell my wife, Gaynor, I'm having a bad day today. But I think the biggest thing is knowing that it's not going to always be a bad day. And one thing I would say to anybody that is going through it is going to get better. And ironically, I believe I'm a stronger person for going through what I went through, because it was hard, waking up every day and not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to face the world. The hardest thing was to be in the same room as anybody else, not wanting to do that, and every day fighting to go through that pain and anguish, which it was, that you thought was never going to end, but it does end. And I think talking to people and talking to you, Joe, you helped me massively, and I'll never thank you for that. And it's so important that people do open up and talk, even if it's just to your mates on Facebook. I mean, I'm a member of some groups that are like all bootnecks, and we have that camaraderie as any unit does. And even just now, it's becoming such a big thing that people do talk about it, and seeing people sharing their stories, and everybody just jumps in. I saw one the other week, and it was like, guys, I'm on me low, I've been kicked out of my house, I'm doing it. And there's guys saying, you only live 10 miles away from me, I've got a spare bedroom. You know, he'd been kicked out on the street by his missus, and there's guys offering him a bed because he'd reached out. And I think that's so important.
That's the only way it'll happen, if people speak. Because not anybody picks up. You were lucky your sister picked up on it, you know, because of her experiences. But not everyone picks up on it, you know. Some people think you're just fucking miserable, you know what I mean? That's the long and short of it, you know.
I am that as well. Like.
Oh, no, I didn't mean you personally. No, you're miserable.
But yeah, it is important that people do talk.
It is good, and in this building we have people coming in chatting all day long with other people, and you know, and that's the type of thing, shared experiences. And you even to the little things like, or I'm taking this tablet for depression or whatever, and it's doing this to us, and then someone else will, it did that to me, so the doctor changed it to this other one, and I was much better, and you know, little things like that. And just to know that you're not the only person that it's happened to, I think that's a massive thing. Like,
It's huge. It's huge because when I very first rang that number, you said your experience was when you had that we rang that number, and it felt strange. For me, it was quite the opposite because I wanted. I'm a bit of a hypochondriac, but I'm always a great believer in knowing where I need an answer.
you didn't Google all the time, do you?
No,
Oh,
I
fucking
do
hell, I've got a
quite.
bad head. Oh, I've got brain damage. I've got brain damage.
But I needed an answer, and I've always been like that. So when I picked that phone up, it was almost like, right, okay, what now?
Right.
What tablets do I take? What do I need to do? And when am I going to be better?
Ah.
It's not like that because everybody's different. Everybody is very, very different. Everybody's situation is different. Some people need medication and should take the doctor's advice. I chose not to because my therapist said, please don't, Steve. I think it'll be harder to get off than it will get on. But that doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do. And some people take a lot longer, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's everybody's story and journey is different because some people have gone through some traumas that, other people might not even get through. But yeah.
Well, I mean, how do you feel? I know you have bad days, but life's better now, isn't it?
It's a lot better now, and I look at life differently. I appreciate life better. I've got regrets. Well, not regrets. I don't think you should have regrets, but I would have done things different if I'd gone through what I'd gone through earlier. But I went through what I'd gone through because what I'd done.
Yeah.
So that wasn't going to happen. I think working as hard as I did has robbed me of some of things in my life that I would have liked to have done. Working so hard and putting myself under so much pressure to get where I want to be, to give my family the things I wanted them to have. Well, actually, there was probably things I could have given them rather than working that hard, like better memories, maybe. So I am in a much better place for it though, because of what I've been through. And now when I have bad days, I know it's going to be okay. I never wake up anymore and go, I'm in this horrible dark corner feeling like somebody's pushing me down. If I wake up like that, I can actually shake myself up quite a bit, or shake myself around quite quickly, and the day won't be as bad as it would have been, and I know tomorrow's going to be all right.
Brilliant. Well, just a bit of a, I've got a bit of a tear in my eye, to be quite honest. I think it's fucking hay fever, so I'll not be flying these jets.
Tornadoes for you.
Aye. So we're hopefully going to be buying this building, and we've set out on a crowdfunding experience. It's something I've never done before. This comes out on Thursday, so it started yesterday, right? Time lapse. So the crowdfunding there's a hashtag, and it's hashtag Veterans Helping Veterans.
Right.
And we're also doing sort of a media campaign of videos and tweets and things like that. So I'll speak to Phil at Vanex and send our stuff over.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got a press release for you
Anything we can do.
to put on, but also we'll fill some videos and stuff like that. We're hoping to get some famous people today. Do you know any famous people who might do?
Not really.
Apart from myself.
No. Sorry.
And hopefully that'll kickstart. Well, it'll kickstart next Wednesday.
Right.
So keep an eye out for that. It's on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. When we finish, we normally have a piece of music.
Right.
So, what was your favourite song, or what kind of music would you like at the end? I've been thinking all the way through. What's that tune that they play at the Borough when the match is on?
I don't know. I don't like football.
Oh fuck!
I wouldn't know. I'm a big fan of Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd, alright.
So.
Oh, another brick in the wall. Fucking there you gone. It's definitely. Yeah. Let's stop this estate getting built.
You certainly knocked them down. Right, that'll do it for me.
Aye, brilliant. Hey, look, I really appreciate you coming in. I've had an excellent, proper good laugh.
Have you?
Yeah.
Really?
Would you like to come on again?
I don't know. Only if you get desperate.
Well, who's he? I tell you what. So we are putting more money into the thing, and we're going to have 3 things. So why don't you bring your mate with a big nose on?
Chaz?
We'll sit him there, so he's that way.
No, you haven't got a lens big enough to get his nose in.
Let's do it, man. Bring your mate
Chaz will
on,
be
aye?
up for it. He's in the police now, though.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, you have to
That's-
get rid of all the dodgy hoodies.
That's no good, is it? In fact, if he's sitting now, he can just get his nose out the window, can't we? Class. Aye, when we do that, we'll do that then. We'll get the three of us on. Alright? Thanks a lot, mate.
Thanks, Jay.
Really enjoy that, man.
Ah,
Really good,
I
aye?
enjoyed it.
Alright?
All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. All in all, you're just another